Hey peeps, this is Huser. Welcome back to another developer update review. It's been a while since the last one, but here it is, the newest developer update for tomorrow's PTP. This one, it's quite juicy. So let's get into the thick of it. First up, new survivor item, the Fog Vial. Essentially, like we all speculated, the little void shards we had for the Halloween game mode, Haunted by Daylight, they are now becoming a basically a survivor item. So now it's a new cool item with a few rarities and things, but the base gist is this. Using a fog vial causes fog cloud to expand outward from a point it was used, dissipating after a set time. You don't see scratch marks inside of it. They don't spawn in it. Audio in it is muffled, and the auras within the fog cloud are unreadable. And then it has a cooldown which recharges over time once used. This is interesting because it seems like this doesn't run out, right? So this seems like you can just keep using it over the time of the trial. Because a lot of the other items, they actually have amount of charges, but it just says it recharges on a cooldown. So interestingly, it is just kind of like a constant thing that you also have to think about. This is definitely going to need to be tested more and like see how it like fundamentally affects the survivor gameplay loop. This is going to be pretty big addition. I'm not sure how impactful it will be. It might though win over flashlights, I think, pretty easily. I don't think flashy users have that much going for them. So I think it's going to be quite easy for Fog Vial to win over flashlights. I'm not sure if it's going to take over Maggots or Toolbox as well. Speaking of other items, survivor item update keys. So keys, the charge system is now different. So previously, how all items in the game work right now is that you have a bar of charges and you consume them at a given rate based on how you're using the item. Now, the charges on keys, and as you'll see in the future, also maps as well, the way they're going to work is kind of more similar to tokens on a perk that are consumable. So instead it has individual uses kind of as charges rather than the overall time it can be used for. So, the new uses of keys are now, you can channel the key, you consume one charge and reveal survival auras for a limited time. Near closed hatch, you can consume one charge to unlock it. Or you can consume a charge to unlock a chest quickly and gain an item of a rare quality or higher. Once a chest has been unlocked with a key, it will also be revealed to nearby survivors, and it can be rummaged by one other survivor to gain an additional item of rare rarity or higher. And they adjusted a lot of individual item rarities in several items. So as we see here, keys stood out as the least used survivor items and were typically outclassed by other options, where we work them to offer a wider range of utility and tap into players yearning for higher rarity items. Now the charge system is easier to track, think of it as uses rather than use time, and the overall reading capabilities of keys are improved, while also adding some team-wide utility. This is to make it easier for a recruit player to get quality items for chests, keys also extend the opportunity to a single teammate. Stay tuned for patch notes with the deals on key and map item rarities and add-ons. So, I can't give you my opinion on this yet. The reason is simple, we don't know what happens to all the add-ons. The add-ons are kind of the bread and butter. I think the most important add-on here would be the Blood Ember. If the Blood Ember is like nerfed significantly in some way, I think keys might as well be dead. Because I don't see the utilities, like, why would you want higher rarity items? Higher rarity items don't really do much in DBD. Unless you want another key, I guess. Well, that's about it. What's interesting is it seems like any key will be able to open the hatch from the wording here, because it says consume one charge to quickly unlock a near closed hatch, you can consume one charge to unlock it, right? So it says here, just consume a charge. So I'm not sure, does that mean the broken key is going to get retired? It's going to get to rechanged into just a green key? Who knows, or whatever color it is now. That is very, very interesting. We'll have to see in the PTP, which is supposedly out tomorrow. But overall, depending on the add-ons, which is either a pretty harsh nerf to keys or a buff. We don't know. Overall, is this a healthy direction? I suppose, but items just aren't very interesting to begin with for you to bother with opening chests. seeing all of your teammates. Okay, that's a little more useful. I just don't know. It is a bit underwhelming, and the items will be where the devil lies. So maps also got updated. The same terminology as keys got applied to them in terms of charges. So there is that uses of the map instead of the use time. So you can adjust the uses. They're now channel the maps to consume one charge and reveal nearby paladin world auras to yourself for a limited time. So this is like an on-demand temporary Windows opportunity. I can see some people running that, just purely that. And also, while auras are revealed, you can press the use item button again to create a beam of light on the visible survivors, revealing aura generates within the beam's range to all survivors. And they adjust open shadows. So maps, I think. Again, we're just gonna have to see the add-ons, but maps I think is going to be a larger improvement because currently maps are rather useless, and being actually able to like use that as a diet Windows opportunity, I think it'll be well liked by a lot of more maybe laid back players that might want to have a perk slot instead of Windows, but then still want to be able to see the aura of like Windows and palettes every now and a while. So we also got a bunch of preset improvements, which were promised to us, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago at this point. Jesus, took a while. So we have now 7 presets for customization and loadouts, and you also can name the presets. Welcome back 2020 features. Keyboard and mouse support, go out the consoles, just complete the win. I don't mind it. You know, it's fine. I have no complaints. Custom matches, I've seen some improvements. So add a hotkey inputs to switch to the killer's perspective. You can also see the hotkeys now next to player portraits, and you can also remove the hotkey visibility so you don't have to always see them. And then you also have a visual indicator to show spectators who are there viewing. And then finally, the bug that's been in the game since launch, I think, is you can actually see dead survivor icons if you join as a spectator after you get sacrificed. And I believe that should also extend to public matches as well, where if you want to spectate after you died, you wouldn't see yourself as a sacrificed icon. So now we get to the really juicy part, killer updates. So the Executioner has seen a pretty large update that is a bit controversial to me, but I think is in the right direction. But it all depends on the exact implementation. So, Punishment of Damned range is now increased basically. So range add-ons are going to be the Be and Handle. There's going to be some other add-ons. The duration of Rites and Judgment Trail drawing and Trail lifetime will increase, so leaving Torment Trails is a bit more impactful now. Rites and Judgment movement speed is reduced, so that means when you actually plunge your knife into the ground, you're going to be much slower probably. And they're also adding haste and endurance status effects to survive saved from cage. They added input buffering to transition from Punishment of the Damned to Rites of Judgment, and begin caging or killing a survivor when the prompt is available. And they also work add-ons. So first I'm going to read with that note. We heard of feedback for execution add-ons could use more variety. A range shouldn't feel like the only viable option. In addition to making a range increase base kit, we rework his add-ons to introduce more interesting options, like adjusting spread of Punishment of Damned or triggering effects and misses. Outside of these changes, keep an eye out for patches and others with some quality of life adjustments and slightly reduce his zoning potential. So overall, good direction. We'll have to see how good the add-ons are. If the add-ons are as terrible as before, of course this will be kind of terrible. We'll need to see how slow he is now when channeling Punishment of Damned. And, no Punishment of Damned, sorry, Rite of Judgment. Punishment of Damned is the actual attack, Rites of Judgment is when you're channeling it. The thing that confuses me is the haste endurance to survive safe from cage, right? The whole original point of it was that cages are not hooks, so you don't get endurance or haste or anything out of them. None of the hook perks activate. So this feels kind of lame. And you might just be like, wait, aren't you supposed to be a survivor main? No, I'm not a survivor main, I'm sorry. I do think this is kind of lame. The whole point of like cages was to like make them as the thing that you have to watch out for, watch around for, and then actually skip and ignore all hook perks. The thing I'm seeing now is kind of like, why would you at this point like cage survivors, right? Because you're always going to be dealing with BT. Maybe also be dealing with hook perks at this point. I'm not sure. I actually have to test it, but like, it's weird they're adding borrowed time. If you're gonna add like borrowed time, honestly, turn turn like cages into like quasi hooks or something, and add back, you know, on the what it was. I think the singularity PvP. They tested out Pyramid Head. Actually, what's called giving tormented on attacks inflicted with punishment of damned, because M2. I think, especially with like the hasty endurance, like why not give it now? Because you would actually solve kind of like a big problem with Pyramid's head kits, which is low mobility, like a low map pressure, because he is like terribly slow. Especially now you're gonna slow down the Rites of Judgment as well. I think it'll be quite neat to introduce the Tormented on punishment with damned head again, and then the cages will be just kind of this remote hook, but without the benefits of remote hook, like interacting with hook procs, and just kind of like speed up his gameplay while not allowing him to tunnel. I think that'd be good if we're gonna lean into that, but just plainly making cages give BT, I am not liking. I would like a compensatory buff right there. The clown has gotten a bunch of changes. So he's got an increased movement speed while reloading bottles. He decreased his bottle reload time. The yellow bottle now gives more haste effect, increased the distance speed that smoke spreads to, and increased activation speed. And the purple bottle just got nerfed. And they also added input buffer to charging bottle for reloading bottles. So, they say here, when it comes to the clown's power, his purple bottles see much more use than these yellow ones across skill levels. The burn rise for use, for giving yellow bottles quicker activation, greater speed boost, and wider effect range. Couple some beasts. Increased to compensate, purple bottles have received a slight nerf, requiring a little more frog control to get it for full value. Honestly, like hot take, I think this is great. Clown is a very boring killer to go against most of the time, and actually having to think more about combining bottles, I think is cool. I think making Clown not just boom, boom, boom around the loop would be cool. And this makes you need to think about the haste bottles a bit more, because, you know, the distance spread actually means you have to think about representation more carefully, because maybe Savaris could get it, but also you get increased benefits ROIs. And the same applies in reverse with it's a reduced distance, so now you have to think about the purple bottle more carefully. I like that, and it seems very good, and I like that you now will be encouraged to throw more bottles out, because your bottle reload time is decreased and the movement speed or reloading bottle is increased. I'm pretty sure we're just going to incorporate those add-ons that he has, and we're going to nerf him, because they say they just the simple add-ons as well. So the Knight actually got some add-ons base kit as well. So a big reason, honestly, why I kind of fell off a little bit playing the Knight, even though I really like playing the Knight, is because when you play him, right, it's really, really annoying. You basically always have to run the yellow add-on for increased like order length. You also need to run the town and watch add-on always, basically. Where you become effective when someone is summoned. Honestly, I would like that base kit as well. I mean, maybe that's really greedy of me, but hey. So we increased the maximum patrol length. They increased the path drawing speed, acceleration, and strafe speed. They made the Carifex standard spawn slaughter. That's the little banner you can pick up to end the chase and get the haste and endurance. The assassin Gillis time is spawn quicker instead, and they input buffering to drawing patrol path. And they just the contour add-on, which is the add-on that increased the maximum patrol path line. Honestly, really, really, really good. I like that. All good changes. I would honestly like the Town Watch Torch as well at this point, because yeah, it would feel good if you could just get like the undeductible, because I think that's like such a crucial part of this kit realistically. But hey, at least now instead of 0 add-on slots to play with, I'm gonna have 1, and that is a big improvement. So the pig got buffed once again. That's crazy. McLean is rolling over in his grave, I think, or something. The movement speed while crouched is increased. You increase the speed of crouching and uncrouching. Increase the speed which terrorists phase when crouching. Increase that ambush movement speed. And in the edit input buffering and adjust surrounds. And as we say, yes, we know, we buffed pig. Outside of her traps, her ability to surprise Horizon is an important part of the build. Increases the speed and make a terrorist fighting quicker when sneaking. She'll have more chance than Paris Horizon. Okay, I'm gonna have a hot take here. We should nerf a pig. But I don't know anything. So, a while back, when the pig was buffed, majorly, like reworked almost a little bit, she originally came in with a nerf to her traps, timers specifically, and people cried. They shouldn't have. Because the traps should not be able to get kills, the traps should just be slowed down. And I'm gonna say it again, now that the pig got buffed even further, it's time. The pig is a small terrorist now, her ambush is gonna be really, really good, her crouching is gonna be really, really good. It's time to nerf the pig timers. It's obnoxious. Make it stop. Finally, we have some announcement to updates to perks, and without any numbers yet. But it's all gonna be buffs, you know. So any means necessary appraisal, better together, built to last deja vu, detects function, potential energy, still side and streetwise. The only perk I have a problem here with, honestly, actually two problems. Built to last does not need a buff. Built to last is fine. It just has a low pick rate. Actually, all three perks. Deja vu also, why is it getting a buff? I don't think it needs one. Streetwise also doesn't need a buff. These three perks, I'm not sure why they're getting buffed. Killer perks, I don't understand why Franklin's Demise and Hubris are getting buffs. Both of those are very much fine perks. Franklin's is a very strong perk, and Hubris is just a bit of a niche perk. So yeah, a bunch of weird buffs here that we'll have to think about, but yeah, they don't make a ton of sense. Overall, this is a pretty good developer update, mostly. But again, it is frustrating how we don't get any details anymore on like perk updates and on a lot of the crucial things, like, I don't know, at least like give us a snippet of add-on changes. We'll have to see about the new survivor item, how it plays out. We'll need just actual playtesting. The key update depends heavily on the add-ons. The map update is generally a buff, but we'll see about the add-ons. Preset improvements are good. Keyboard, mouse controls, fine, cool. I don't play in consoles, but I think that's good. Custom improvements, great. Pyramid Head, let's do a little more compensatory buffs. I think that's good. Clown, I don't have any notes for. Knight, I would love a Town Watch Patrol, like fire thing. Please add it at this point. I want undetectable. Pig, let's finally nerf her trap timers. It's time. It is time to nerf the pig. And I don't understand multitude of these perks getting buffed because they're fine completely. Honestly, Streetwise might be even a little too good. But hey, what do I know? I only have too many thousands of hours in this game. Anyway, I'll see you all on the PDB deep dive. That'll come out soon after the PDB, not immediately, of course, because I need time to edit things and to record things and to script things. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in again. Happy charity juice.
Well, would you look at that? A fun killer design. I'm sure BHVR would change it down the line. This is an update of the lowest percentile. Get anyone on the map team, tell me what the fuck is this tile? Once again, a change by us all unrequested. This did not turn out how the dev note suggested. Anyone involved in this design should be arrested. Here's the deep dive, I'm losing my shit! In what world is that a fucking it? Alright, no, that's it, I quit!